DeSoto Central High School's production of Our Town by Thornton. There will be a 15-minute intermission in between Acts 2 and 3 where concessions will be sold. Please remember to turn off all cell phones as they are a disruption to the production, and photography and videography is prohibited due to copyright law. Next on our stage will be Disney's Tarzan the Musical. For more information, please visit our Instagram. We want to dedicate this show to all of those who we cannot see anymore, but we know they are always with us. Thank you.
This play is called Our Town. It was written by Thornton and directed by Victoria Newton. In it, you will see Fallon Benson and John Albert Lloyd, Rush Young and Macy Fisher, Parker Lewis, Sidney Nathan, and many others. The name of the town is Grover's Corners, New Hampshire, just across the Massachusetts line. Latitude 42 degrees 40 minutes, longitude 70 degrees 37 minutes. The first act shows a day in our town. Today is May 7th, 1901. The time is just before dawn. The sky is blue, shows some streaks of light over in the east there behind our mountain. The morning star always gets wonderful bright the minute before it has to go, doesn't it? Well, I'd better show you how our town lies. Up here is Main Street. Way back there's the railway station. Tracks go that way. Polish towns across the tracks with some Canuck families. Over there's the Congregational Church. Presbyterians across the street. Methodist and Unitarian over there. Baptist is down the hollow by the river. The Catholic Church is over beyond the tracks. Right here is the town hall and post office combined. Jail's in the basement. Brian once made a speech from these very steps here. Along here's a row of stores. Hitching posts and horse blocks in front of them. The first automobile is going to come along in about 5 years. Belonged to Banker Cartwright, our richest citizen, who lived in the big white house up on the hill there. Right here's the grocery store and Mrs. Morgan's drugstore. Most everybody in town manages to look into those two stores at least once a day. Public school's over yonder. High school still farther over. 9:15 mornings, noon times, and 3 o'clock afternoons, the whole town can hear the yelling and the screaming from those schoolyards. This is our doctor's house, Doc Gibbs. This is the back door, and here's some scenery, for those who think they ought to have scenery. And this is Mrs. Gibbs' garden. Corn, peas, beans, hollyhocks, heliotrope, and a lot of burdock. In those days, our newspaper came out about twice a week. The Grover's Corner Sentinel. And this is our editor's house, Editor Webb. This is Mrs. Webb's garden. Just like Mrs. Gibbs, Lily's got a lot of sunflowers too. Right there's a big butternut tree. Nice town, you know what I mean? Nobody very remarkable's ever come out of it, as far as we know. The earliest tombstones in the cemetery on the mountain say 1670 to 1680. There are Grovers and Cartwrights and Gibbses and Hersheys. The same names that are around here now. Well, as I said, it's about dawn. The only whites on in town are in a cottage across the tracks where Polish mothers just had twins. And in the Joe Corral house, where Joe Jr.'s get up so's to deliver the paper. And in the depot, where Shorty Hawkins is getting ready to flag the 5:45 for Boston. Naturally, out in the country, life's been off for some time, what with milking and so on. The town people sleep there. So another day's begun. There's Doc Gibbs coming down Main Street now, coming back from that baby case. Here's his wife coming down to make breakfast. Doc Gibbs died in 1930. A new hospital's named after him. His wife died first, a long time ago in fact. She went out to visit her daughter Rebecca, who married an insurance salesman from Canton, Ohio, and she died there, pneumonia. But her body was brought back here. She's up in the cemetery now, with a whole mess of Gibbses and Hersheys. Well, you know, she was Julia Hershey before she married Doc Gibbs in the Congregational Church. And our town was like another Fast, about everybody. That's Doc Gibbs. He got that call at 1:30 this morning. And here's Mrs. Webb coming down to make her breakfast too. And there comes Joe Crowell Jr., delivering Mr. Webb's Sentinel.
Morning, Doc Gibbs.
Morning, Joe.
Is Baby sick, Doc?
No, just some twins going over to Polish Town.
Want your paper now?
Yes, I'll take it. Anything serious going on in the world since Wednesday?
Yes, sir. My school teacher, Miss Foster's getting married a fellow over in Concord.
I declare. How do you boys feel about that?
Well, of course, it's none of my business, but I think if a person starts out with a teacher, she ought to stay one.
How's your knee, Joe?
Oh, it's fine. I never think about it at all. Only like you said, always tells me it's gonna rain.
What's it telling you today? Gonna rain?
No, sir.
Sure?
Yes, sir.
You ever make a mistake?
No, sir.
I want to tell you something about that boy, Joe Crowell there. Joe was awful bright. Graduated high school here, head of his class. And so he got a scholarship to Massachusetts Tech. He graduated head of his class there, too. It was all wrote up in the Boston paper at the time. Going to be a great engineer, Joe was. But the war broke out. Joe died in France. All that education for nothing.
Come on, Bessie. What's the matter with you?
And here comes Howie Newsom delivering the milk.
Morning, Doc.
Morning, Howard.
Somebody sick?
Pair of twins over the Miss Slashes.
Twins, eh? This town's getting bigger every year.
Gonna rain, Howard?
No. Fine day. That'll burn through. Come on, Bessie.
Hello, Bessie. How old is she now, Howard?
Going on 17. See, Bessie here's all mixed up about the route ever since the Lockhart stopped taking their quart of milk every day. Keeps scolding me the whole trip.
Good morning, Howie.
Morning, Miss Gibbs. Doc just coming down the street.
Is he? Well, seems like you're late today.
Yes, sir. Something's wrong with the separator. Don't know which was. Doc?
Children, time to get up. Everything all right, Frank?
Yes, I declare. Easy as kittens.
I bet you can have a couple hours sleep this morning, can't you?
Miss Whitworth's coming out 11. So I know what that's about, too. Her stomach ain't what it ought to be.
I told Frank Gibbs you won't get more than 3 hours of sleep. Oh, I do wish I could get you away someplace and take a real rest. I think it would do you good.
Children, Wally, Emily, it's time to get up.
Now, I declare, you've got to speak to that George. I don't know what's come over him, but he's no help to me at all. Can't even get him to help me cut some wood.
Is he sassy to you?
No, he just whines. All he ever thinks about is that baseball. George, Rebecca, it's time to get up. George!
George, look sharp.
Yes, Pa.
Don't you hear your mother calling you? I guess I'll go upstairs and get put in wings.
Children, it's 7 o'clock. Now, I don't want to call you again. Wally, you wash yourself good or I'll come up and do it myself.
Ma, what dress y'all wearing? Hush now, don't make a noise. Your father's been out all night and needs his rest. I washed and ironed that blue gingham one for you, special. But Ma, I hate that dress. Oh, hush up with
Every
you.
day I go to school looking like a sick turkey.
Rebecca, you always look very nice.
Mom, George is throwing soap at me.
I'll come up there and stop the both of you. That's what I'll do.
We've got a factory in our town, too. Here, makes budgets. The Cartwrights own it and have run them a fortune.
Children, I won't have it. Breakfast is just as good as any other meal, and I won't have you gobbling like wolves. It'll stunt your growth, that's a fact. Put down your book, Wally.
Oh, Ma, about 10 o'clock, I gotta know all about Canada.
You know the rules well as I do. No books at table. As for me, I'd rather have my children help me than write.
I'm both, Mama. You know I am. I'm the brightest girl in school for my age. I've got a wonderful memory.
Eat your breakfast.
I'm right, too. When I'm looking at my stamp collection.
I'll talk to your father, but it seems to me like 25 cents a week is enough for a boy your age. I declare I don't know how you spend it all.
I got a lot of things to buy.
Strawberry phosphates, that's what you spend it on.
Well, I don't see how Rebecca comes to have so much money. She has more than $1.
I've been saving it up gradually. Well, dear, I do think it's all right to spend some every now and again. Do you know what I love most in this world? Do you? Money. Eat your breakfast.
That's Belmont. We gotta go to school.
Walk fast, but you don't have to run. Well, your pants have got the knee. Emily, stand up straight.
Tell Miss Foster I sent her my best congratulations. Can you remember that? Yes, Mom. Pick up your feet, Rebecca. You look very nice.
Goodbye.
Bye now. Here, chicks. Here, chicks. What is the matter with you? Fight. That's all you do. Here, chicks. Here, chicks. Well, who are you? You don't belong to me. Oh, it's okay. Here. Oh, good morning, Myrtle. How's your cold?
Well, I still get that tickling feeling in my throat. I told Charles I didn't know if I'd make it to choir practice tonight. I wouldn't be any use.
Have you tried singing over your voice?
Yes, but I can't manage to do that and stay on key, so while I'm wrestling myself, I thought I'd string some of these beans.
Let me help you. Reed's a bit good this year.
I decided to put up 40 course, even if it kills me. The children say they hate him, but I noticed they're able to get him down all winter.
Myrtle, I've got to tell you something. Because if I don't tell somebody, I'm gonna burst.
Why, Julia Gibbs.
Did one of those secondhand furniture men come to see you last Friday?
No.
Oh, well, he called on me. At first, I thought he was a patient waiting to see Dr. Gibbs, and then he wormed his way into my parlor, and oh, Myrtle Webb, he offered me $350 for Grandmother Whitmore's highboy, just as I'm sitting here.
Julia
He
Gibbs.
did that old thing. Well, it's so vague, I didn't know where to put it, and I almost gave it to Cousin Hezzy Wilcox.
And you're gonna take it, aren't you?
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know.
Well,
$350, Julia? What are you talking about?
I know, but if I could get the doctor to take the money and go someplace, oh, I'd say it like that. You know, it has been my life's dream to see Paris, France.
What does the doctor think about that?
Well, I did beat around the bush a little and told him if I ever got a legacy, that's the way I put it, that I'd make him take me.
What do you say?
You know how he is. I haven't heard a serious word out of that man's mouth since I've met him. No, he says, if I make him discontented for Grover's Corners to go traipsing around Europe. Better let well enough alone, he says. Yeah, every 2 years we could take a trip to the battlegrounds of the Civil War.
Dr. Gibbs knows everything about the Civil War, and it just makes Mr. Webb despair.
Oh dear, it's a fact. Dr. Gibbs is never so happy as when he's in Indiana or Gettysburg. The tops are crazy over those hills, Myrtle, like we were gonna buy it.
If that second-hand man's really serious, go buy him. Julia, you sell him. Then you get to see Paris, France all right. Just keep dropping hints from time to time. That's how I got to see the Atlantic Ocean, you know.
Oh, I'm sorry I mentioned it. Well, it seems to me that once in your life, before you die, you ought to see a place where they don't speak English and don't even want to.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you very much. Now we're going to skip a few hours, but first we will more information about the town, kind of a scientific account, you might say. So I've asked Professor Willard of our state university to come sketch in a few details of our past history here. Is Professor Willard here? Right. May I introduce Professor Willard of our state university. A few brief notes, thank you, Professor. Unfortunately, our time is limited.
Grover's Corners lies in the old Pliocene granite range of the Appalachian Ranges. It's some of the oldest land in the world, and we are very, very proud of it. A shelf of the Novian Basin crosses with the vestiges of the Mesozoic shale, but that is more recent in our history, approximately 2 to 3 million years old. We have found some very unique fossils. I say unique fossils. About 2 miles I saw Solomon Peckham's cow pasture. You can see it any time at our museum's university. That is, at any reasonable time. Shall I read some Professor Gruber's notes?
I'm afraid we won't have time for that, Professor. We might have a few words on the history of man here.
Anthropological data. Early Amerindian stock. No evidence for the 13th century. Now, entirely disappeared. Vestiges found in 3 of the families in the area. Then, towards the end of the 17th century, more of the blue-eyed English brachiophilic stock. Nowadays, in modern times, more of the Slavs and
And the
Minotaurs.
population, Professor Willard?
Within the town limits, 2,640.
Just a moment.
Within the town limits at the moment is 2,642. Postal district brings in 507 more, making a total of 3,149. Birth and death rates are a constant. On McPherson's gauge, 6.032.
Thank you very much, Professor. We're all very much obliged to you, I'm sure.
Not at all, man, not at all.
This way, Professor, and thank you again. Now for the political and social report. Editor Webb. Mr. Webb? Mr. Webb?
He'll be here in a minute. He cut his hand. Eating an apple.
Thank you, Mrs. Webb.
Charles! They're all waiting!
Mr. Webb, the publisher and the editor of the Grover's Corner Sentinel. That's our local paper, you know.
Well, I don't have to be the one to tell you we're run here by a board of selectmen. All males vote at the age of 21. Women vote indirect. We're lower middle class, sprinkling of professional men, 10% illiterate laborers. Politically, we're 86% Republican, 6% Democrat, 4% Socialist, rest indifferent. Religiously, we're 85% Protestant, 12% Catholic, rest indifferent.
Have you any comments, Mr. Webb?
Very ordinary town, if you ask me. A little better behaved than most, probably a lot duller, but The kids here seem to like it well enough. 90% of them graduated from high school, settled down right here, even after they've been away to college.
Now, is there anyone in the audience who'd like to ask Mr. Webb what do you think about the town?
Is there much drinking in Grover's Corners?
Well, ma'am, I don't know what you call much. Saturday nights, the farmheads tend to have the Hillary Greenhouse stable and holler some. We got one or two town drunks, but they're always having remorse whenever an evangelist comes to town. No, ma'am, I'd say liquor ain't a regular thing in the home here, except in the medicine chest. Right good for a snake bite, you know. Always was.
Is there no one in town?
Come forward, will you? We can all hear you. What were you saying?
I said, is there no one in town aware of social injustice and industrial inequality?
Oh, yes, everybody is. Something terrible. Seems like they can't stop talking about who's rich and who's poor.
Well, then why don't we do something about it?
Well, I don't know. I guess we're all looking for a way that the sensible and diligent can rise to the top and the lazy and quarrelsome can sink to the bottom, but it ain't easy to find. Until then, we do all that we can to help those that can't help themselves, and those that can, we leave alone. Are there any other questions?
Oh, Mr. Webb, is there any love or culture of beauty in Grover's Corners?
No, ma'am, there ain't much. Not in the sense that you mean. Come to think of it, there are some girls playing piano for high school commencement, but they ain't happy about it. No, ma'am, there ain't much culture, but I guess this is the place to tell you we have a lot of pleasures of a kind here. We like watching the sun coming up over the mountains, and we all know a lot about the birds. Pay a lot of attention to them. We like to watch the change in the seasons, but, well, man, that's just about it. The Bible, Handel's Largo, we all know those. Whistler's Mother, but that's just about as far as we go.
So I thought, Mr. Webb.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Now we'll head back to the town. It's early afternoon. All 2,642 have had their dinners, and all the dishes have been washed. There's an early afternoon calm in our town. The buzzing of moving school buses, horses dozing at the picture post, just a few buggies on Main Street. You all remember how it was. Doc Gibbs is in his office, tapping people, making them say ah. And Mr. Webb's over there reading his paper. 1 man in 10 thinks it's a privilege to read the editor's paper. Well, no, sir, it's later than I thought. There are the children coming from school already.
I can't, Louis. I've got to go home and help my mother, I promise.
Emily, walk simply now. Who do you think you are today?
Papa, you're terrible. 1 minute you tell me to stand up straight, and the next minute you call me names. I just don't listen to you.
Golly, never got a kiss from such a great lady before.
Oh, excuse me, Miss Morris.
You go out and play in the field, young man. You got no business playing baseball here on Main Street.
Awfully sorry, Miss Morris. Hello, Emily.
Hello.
You made a fine speech in class.
Well, I was really supposed to make a speech on the Monroe Doctrine, but at the last minute, Miss Crawford made me talk about the Louisiana Purchase instead. I worked an awful long time on both of them.
Gee, it's funny, Emily. From my window up there, I can see your headlights when you're doing your homework over in your room.
Why, can you?
You certainly do stick to it, Emily. I don't see how you can sit still that long. I guess you like school.
I figure it's just something you have to go through.
Yeah.
I don't mind it, really. It passes the time.
Yeah, Emily, what do you think? We work on a sort of telegraph from your window to mine, and every once in a while you can give me a hint or two on one of those algebra problems. No, I don't mean the answers, Emily. No, of course not. Just some little hint.
I think hints are allowed. So if you ever get stuck, George, just whistle to me, and I'll give you some hints.
Emily, you're just naturally bright, I guess.
I figure it's just the way a person's born.
Yeah, but you see, I want to be a farmer, and my Uncle Luke says whenever I'm ready, I can go and work on this farm. If I'm any good, I can just gradually have it.
The house and everything?
Yeah. Well, thanks, Emily. I gotta head to the baseball field. Thanks for the talk. Well, good afternoon, Miss Webb.
Good afternoon, George.
So long, Emily.
So long, George.
Emily, you come help me string these beans for winter. George Gibbs let himself have a real conversation, didn't he? He's growing up. How old might he be now?
I don't know.
Let's see. He must be almost 16.
I made a speech in class today, Mama. I was very good.
You must recite it for your father at supper. What was it about?
The Louisiana Purchase. It was like silk off a spool. I'm gonna make speeches my whole life. Mama, are these big enough?
Try and get them a little bigger if you can.
Mama, will you answer me a question serious?
Seriously, dude, not serious.
Seriously, will you?
Well, of course I will.
Mama, am I good looking?
Why, yes, of course you are. All my children have great features. I'd be ashamed if they hadn't.
Oh, Michael, that's not what I mean. What I mean is, am I pretty?
You have a nice young pretty face. I've never heard such foolishness.
You never tell us the truth about anything.
I am telling you the truth.
Mama, were you pretty?
I was if I did say it. I was the prettiest girl in town next to Mamie Cartwright.
Well, honey, you've got to say something about me. Am I pretty enough to get anybody interested in me?
Emily, stop it. You make me tired. You have a nice pretty face for all normal purposes. Now come along and bring that bowl with you.
Mama, you're no help at all.
Thank you, Mrs. Webb. Thank you, Emily. Now, I'll have to interrupt again. There are some more things we want to explore about the town. I think now is a good time to tell you that the Cartwright interests have just begun building a brand new bank right here in Grover's Corners. I had to go to Vermont for the marble, sorry to say. But they've asked a friend of mine what to put in the cornerstone for people to dig up 1,000 years from now. Of course, we're putting in a copy of the New York Times that Mr. Webb sent them. We're kind of interested in this because some scientific fellows have found a way of preserving all that reading matter with a glue, a kind of silica glue. They'll make it keep for 1,000, 2,000 years even. We're putting in a copy of the Bible, and the Constitution of the United States of America, and of the William Shakespeare's plays. What do you say, folks? What do you think? You know, Babylon once had about 2 million people in it, and all we know about them were the names of kings, and copies of wheat contracts, and contracts for the sale of slaves. And yet, every night, all those families sat down for supper, and the fathers would come home from work, and the smoke went up the chimney, the same as here. And even in Greece and in Rome, all we know about the real lives of the people, what we can piece together from the joking poems and the comedies written for the theater back then. So I'm going to have a copy of this play put in the cornerstone, so people 1,000 years from now will know a few simple facts about us, more than the Lindenberg flight or the Treaty of Versailles. See what I mean? So people 1,000 years from now will know that this is how we were, the provinces north of New York at the beginning of the 20th century. This is how we were in our growing up, in our marrying, in our living, in our dying. Well, a good deal of time's gone by. It's evening. You can hear the choir practice going on in the congregational church. The children are at home doing their schoolwork. The day's running down like a tired clock.
Now listen here, everybody. Music come into the world to give pleasure. Softer. Softer! Get it out of your heads that music's only good when it's loud. You leave loudness to the methods. You could have beat 'em even if you tried. Now again, Timbers.
Emily.
Hello.
Hello.
Isn't the moonlight just terrible? I can't work at all.
Emily, did you get the third problem?
Which?
The third.
Why, yes, George, that's the easiest of them all.
I don't see it. Emily, could you give me a hint?
I'll tell you one thing. The answer's in yards.
Yards. How do you mean?
In square yards?
Oh. In square yards.
Yes, George, don't you see?
Yeah.
In square yards of wallpaper.
Wallpaper. Oh, I see. Thanks a lot, Emily.
You're welcome. God, isn't the moonlight terrible? And choir practice going on? I think if you hold your breath, you can hear the train all the way in Concord. Do you hear it?
Mm-hmm. What do you know?
Well, I'd better get back and try to work.
Good night, Emily. And thanks.
Good night, George.
Before I forget it, how many of you will be able to come in for Fred Hirsch's wedding this Tuesday afternoon? Show your hands. That'll be fun. That'll be right nice. We'll do the same music we did for James Trowbridge's last month. Now we'll do Art Thou Weary. Art thou languid? It's a question, ladies and gentlemen. Make it talk. Ready?
George, can you come down a minute?
Yes, Pop.
Make yourself comfortable, George. I'll only take 4 minutes. George, how old are you?
Huh? Well, I'm 16, almost 17.
And what do you want to do after school's over?
Why, you know, Paul. I want to be a farmer on Uncle Luke's farm.
You'll be willing, will you? Get up early every morning, milk, and feed the stock, and you'll be able to hoe and hay all day?
Why, sure I would. What do you mean, Pop?
Well, George, I was in my office today and I heard a funny sound. What do you think it was? It was your mother chopping wood. There you see your mother getting up early every morning, cooking meals all day long, washing and ironing, and still she has to go out in the backyard and chop wood. I suppose she just got tired of asking. She just decided it was easier to do it herself. And here you are, eating her meals, putting on the clothes she keeps nice for you, and you run off and play baseball. Like she's some hired girl would just keep her on the house, but that we don't like very much. Well, George, I knew all I had to do was call her to attention. Here's a handkerchief. George, I've decided to raise your spending money 25 cents a week, not for chopping wood for your mother, because that's a present you give her, but because you're getting older. And I imagine there's a lot of things you must find to do with it.
Thanks, Pop.
Let's see. Tomorrow's your payday. You can count on it. Probably Rebecca feels she ought to have some work too. I wonder what happened to your mother. Choir practice has never been this late before.
Well, it's only 8:30, Pop.
I don't know why she's been an old choir, George. She has no more voice than an old crow. Dressing around the street this time of night. By the time you're tired, don't you think?
Yes, Pop.
Good night, Martha. Oh, good night, Miss Foster.
I'll tell Mr. Webb. I know he'll want to put it in the paper.
It's late. Oh, good night, Irma. Oh, look at that myrtle. Oh, it's potato weather for sure. Well, naturally, I didn't want to say a word about it in front of those others. But now for a blow. And really, it's the worst scandal that ever was in this town. What? Simon Stimson. Luella. Oh, but Julia, to have the organist of the church drink and drunk year after year? You know he was drunk tonight.
Now, Luella, we all know Mr. Stimson and what he's been through, and so does Dr. Ferguson. And if Dr. Ferguson chooses to keep him on the job, well, then the best thing that the rest of us can do is just not notice it.
Not notice it? But it's getting worse.
No, it isn't, Luella. It's getting better. I've been in that choir twice as long as you have. It doesn't happen anywhere near so often. My, I'd hate to go to bed on a night like this. Oh, I better get going. Those children will be up till all hours. Good night, Luella. You get home safely, Luella.
Oh, it's as bright as day. I can see Mr. Soames scowling at the window now. You know, you think we ought to have been to a dance the way these men folk carry on.
Well, we had a right nice time.
Well, you're late enough.
Why, Frank, it ain't any later than usual.
And you stopping at the corner to gossip with a lot of hens.
Don't be so grouchy. Come outside and hear your joke. Whatever did you do all that time I was away?
Oh, I read as usual. What were the girls gossiping about tonight?
Well, believe me, Frank, there is something to gossip about.
Simon Stimson, far gone, wasn't he?
Worst I've ever seen him. How will that end, Frank? Dr. Ferguson can't forgive him forever.
I guess I know more about Simon Stinson's affairs than anybody in town. Some people just ain't made for small town life. I don't know how that'll end, but there's nothing we can do about it except just lay it alone. Come on, let's go in.
No, Frank, I'm worried about you.
What are you worried about?
I think it's my duty to make sure you get some real rest for a change. And if I ever get that legacy, I'm gonna insist on it.
Now, Julia, there's no sense of going over this again.
Well, Frank, you've just been reasonable.
Come on, Julia. It's getting late. Next thing you'll know, you'll catch a cold. I gave George a piece of my mind tonight. I reckon he had the wood chopped for a while anyway. No. Come on, Sid. Start getting upstairs.
There's always so much to do. You know, Miss Fairchild has started to lock her door every night.
They're all getting citified. That's the trouble with them. They got nothing fit to burgle, and everybody knows it. Come on.
Get out, Rebecca. There's only room for one of us at this window. You're always spoiling everything.
Let me look just a minute.
Use your own window.
I did. There's no moon there. George, do you know what I think? Do you? I think that the moon is getting nearer and nearer, and one day there'll be a big explosion.
Rebecca, you don't know anything. If the moon were getting nearer, the men that sit up all night with the telescopes would see it first, and it'd be in all the newspapers, and they'd tell all about it.
George, is the moon jumping on South America, Canada, and half the whole world?
Well, probably is.
9:30. Most everybody's asleep in Grover's Corners. Well, no, there's Constable Warren trying a few doors on Main Street. And here comes Edward Webb, after putting his paper to bed.
Good evening, Bill. Good evening, Mr. Webb. Quite a moon. Yep. All's quiet tonight. Simon Stinson's rolling around a little. Saw his wife headed out to run for him, so I looked the other way. There he is now. Well, good evening, Simon. Town seems to have settled down pretty well for the night. Good evening. Yes, it seems everyone's headed in for the night. I guess we better do the same. Can I walk a ways with you? Good night. I don't know how that's going to end, Mr. Webb. Well, he's seen a peck of trouble, one thing or another. Oh, Bill, if you ever catch my boy smoking cigarettes, just give him a word, you know. Thinks a lot of you, Bill. Oh, I don't think he smokes no cigarettes, Mr. Webb. Police away, not more than 2 or 3 a year. Well, let's hope not. Good night, Bill. Good night. Who's that up there? Is that you, Myrtle?
No, Papa, it's me.
Well, why aren't you in bed?
I don't know, I just can't sleep yet. Isn't the moonlight wonderful? And the smell of Mrs. Gibbs' heliotrope? Do you smell it?
You haven't any troubles on your mind, have you, Emily?
Troubles, Papa? No.
Well, you enjoy yourself. Don't let your mother catch you. Good night, Emily.
Good night, Papa.
I never told you about that letter Jane Crawford got from your minister when she was sick. On the letter, you wrote, Jane Crawford, the Crawford Farm, Grover's Corners, Sutton County, New Hampshire, the United States of America.
What's so funny about that?
Oh wait, there's more. The United States of America, the continent of North America, the Western Hemisphere, the Earth, the solar system, the universe, the mind of God. That's what you're on.
What do you know?
And you delivered it just the same.
What do you know?
Years have gone by. Yes, the sun's come up over 1,000 times. Summers and winters have cracked the mountain a little bit more. And some of the rain has brought down some of the dead. Some babies that weren't even born yet have begun talking regular sentences already. And a number of people who thought they were right young and spry knows that they can't bound up a flight of stairs like they used to, who felt their heart fluttering a little at least. All of that can happen in 1,000 days. Nature's been pushing and contriving in other ways too. A number of our young people fell in love and got married. Yes, the mountain got bit away a few fractions of an inch. Millions of gallons of water went by the mill. And here and there, a new home was set up under a new roof. Almost everybody in the world gets married. You know what I mean? Well, in our town, there ain't hardly any exceptions. Most everybody in the world climbs into their graves married. The first act is called the daily life. This act is called love and marriage. There's another act. It'll be coming after this, and I reckon you all can guess what that'll be about. So, like I said, it's 3 years later. It's July 7th, 1904, just after the high school commencement. That's the time most of our young people jump up and get married. As soon as they pass their last examinations in solid geometry and Cicero's orations, looks like they suddenly feel themselves fit to be married. It's early morning, only this time, it's been raining. It's been pouring and thundering. Mrs. Gibbs' garden and Mrs. Webb's over here, drenched. All those bean poles and bee vines, drenched. Why, all yesterday it went like curtains being blown along Main Street. It may begin again in any minute. There, you can hear the 5:45 to Boston. And here comes Mrs. Gibbs and Mrs. Webb come down to make their breakfast, as though it was just any ordinary day. Now, I don't have to point out to the women in my audience, those ladies they see before them. Both of those ladies can cook 3 meals a day. One of them for 20 years, the other for 40. And no summer vacation. They brought up 2 children apiece, washed and cleaned the house, and never a nervous breakdown. It's like what one of those Middle West poets once said. You've got to love life to have life. You've got to have life to love life. It's what they call a vicious cycle.
Come on, Miss.
And here comes Howie Newsom delivering the milk. And there's Cy Crowell delivering the papers, like his brother before him.
Morning, Howie.
Morning, Si. Anything notable in the papers I ought to know about?
Nothing much, except we're losing by the best baseball pitcher Grover's Corner has ever had, George Gibbs.
Reckon he is.
He can hit run bases too.
Mighty fine ball player. Oh, Bessie, I guess I can stop the talking man if I mind to.
You know, I don't see how he could give up a thing like that just to get married. Would you, Howie?
I don't know, Si. Never had no talent that way. Morning, Bill. You're up early?
Seeing what I can do to prevent a flood. River's been rising all night.
Well, Si here is worked up about George Gibbs' time for baseball.
Yes, sir. It's the way it goes. Back in '84, we had a ball player, Si. Even George Gibbs couldn't touch him. Named Hank Todd. Went down to Maine and became a parson. Beautiful ball player. Howie, how's this weather look to you?
Oh, time bad. Maybe I will clear up.
Good morning, Howie.
Morning, Miss Gibbs.
I think it's gonna rain again.
I think it rained so hard, maybe we'll clear for good.
Certainly hope so.
How much did you want today?
I'm gonna have a house for relations, Howie. Seems to me like I'll need, I guess 3 milk and 2 of cream.
My wife tells me to tell you is how we both hope they'll be very happy. No, they will.
Thanks a lot, Howie. Tell your wife I hope she makes it to the wedding.
Yes, she'll be there. She'll be there if she can.
Good morning, Mr. Newsom. I told you 4 quarts of milk, but I hope you can spare me another.
Yes, and the 2 of cream.
It's gonna start raining again, Mr. Newsom.
Oh, I was just talking to Miss Gibbs how it rained so hard I think maybe we'll clear for good. Miss Newsom tells me to tell you is how we both hope they'll be very happy. No, they will.
Thank you, Mrs. Newsom. We're counting on seeing you at the wedding.
Yes, she'll be there. Couldn't miss that.
Well, Ma, the day has come. You're losing one of your chicks.
Frank Gibbs, don't you say another word. I feel like crying every minute. Sit down and drink your coffee.
The groom is up shaving himself, even though there ain't an awful lot to shave. Whistling and singing like he's glad to leave us. Every now and then he says, I do, to the mirror, but it doesn't sound convincing to me.
Frank, I don't know what he'll do. I've seen to it that he puts warm things on and lay out his clothes. Emily's too young, she won't think of such things. And then he'll catch his death of a cold within a week.
You know, I was remembering my wedding morning, Julie.
Oh, Frank Gibbs, don't you start.
I was the scariest young fellow in the state of New Hampshire. I thought I'd make a mistake for sure. When I say come down that aisle, it was the prettiest girl I've ever seen. The only trouble was is that I never seen you before. There I was in the congressional church, man, a total stranger.
Well, how do you think I felt? Frank, weddings are perfectly awful things. Farces, that's what they are. I made you something.
Why, Julia Hersey, French toast.
Well, it ain't hard to make, and I had to do something.
How'd you sleep last night, Julia?
No, I heard lots of hours struck off.
Yes, I get a shock every time I think of George setting out to be a family man. That great England thing, I tell you, Julia, there's nothing so terrifying in the world as the son. The relations of father and son, the darndest, awkwardest.
Well, let me tell you, mother and daughter's no picnic either.
They have the troubles, I suppose, but it's none of our business. Everybody has a right to their own problems.
Yes, people are meant to go through life 2 by 2. Ain't natural to be lonesome.
You know, one of the things I was scared of when I married you,
Oh, go along with you.
I was afraid we wouldn't have material for conversation more than last us a few weeks. I was scared we'd run out and hear a million silence. That's a fact. Well, you and I have been conversing for 20 years now without any noticeable barren spells.
Yes, well, good weather, bad weather. Ain't very choice, but you can always find something. Have you heard Rebecca stirring around upstairs this morning?
No, only day of the year Rebecca has been managing anybody's business up there. She's high in her room. I got the impression she's crying.
Oh, good Lord, this has got to stop. Rebecca, come and eat your breakfast.
Good morning, everybody. Only 5 more hours to live.
George Gibbs, where do you think you're going?
Just stepping across the grass to see my girl.
Without your overshoes on? It's raining torrents. You won't go out of this house without you're prepared for it.
Ma, it's just a stab.
You'll catch a death of a cold and cough all through the service.
George, do as your mother tells you.
From tomorrow on, you can kill yourself in all weathers, but while you live under my roof, you'll live wisely. And I'm sure Miss Webb is used to callers at 7 a.m. in the morning. Here, drink your coffee.
Be back in a minute. Good morning, Mother Webb.
George, you can come in a minute out of the wet, but you know I can't ask you in.
Why not?
You know the rules as well as I do. Groom can't see his bride on his wedding day, not until he sees her in church.
That's just a superstition. Good morning, Mr. Webb.
Good morning, George.
You don't believe in that superstition, do you?
Well, George, it's a lot of common sense and superstition.
Millions follow the George. You don't want to be first to fly and face the custom.
Well, how's Emily?
I don't know. She hasn't waked up yet. I haven't heard a sound out of her.
Emily's asleep?
Well, no wonder. We were up all hour sewing and packing. I'll tell you what I'll do. You sit down here with Mr. Webb and drink this cup of coffee. I'll go upstairs so she doesn't see you come down and surprise you. There's a bacon too, but don't be long about it.
So, George, how are you?
Fine. Fine. Mr. Webb, what sense could there be in a superstition like that?
Well, on the day of her wedding, a girl's head's have to be full of clothes and one thing or another. Don't you think that's probably it?
Well, yes, I never thought of that.
A girl's have to be mighty nervous on her wedding day.
I wish a fella could get married without all that marching up and down.
Every man that's ever lived felt that way about it, George, but it hasn't been any use. It's the women folk who builds up weddings, my boy. Wow, now they've had it their own. A man looks pretty small at a wedding, George. All those good women standing shoulder to shoulder, making sure the knots tied in a mighty public wedding.
But you believe in it, don't you, Mr. Webb?
Oh, don't misunderstand me, my boy. Marriage is a wonderful thing. Wonderful thing. Don't you forget that.
No, sir. Mr. Webb, how old were you when you got married?
Well, I had been to college and had some time to settle in, but Mrs. Webb, she wasn't much older than Emily is, but age hasn't much to do with it, my boy, not compared with other things.
What were you going to say, Mr. Webb?
Well, I don't know. Was I going to say something? George, I was thinking the other night about some advice my father gave when I first got married. Charles, he said, start off showing who's boss. Give an order, and even if it doesn't make sense, just learn to obey. Oh, and if anything about your wife irritates you, or conversation or anything, just get up and leave the house. That'll make it clear to her. Oh, and never, ever let your wife know how much money you have. Ever.
Mr. Webb, I don't think I could go on with
So, I took the opposite of my father's advice, and I've been happy ever since. Let that be a lesson to you, George. Do not ask for advice on personal matters. George, are you gonna raise chickens on your farm?
What?
Are you gonna raise chickens on your farm?
Well, my Uncle Luke's never been much interested, but I
A
thought
book
that
came into my office the other day about the philo system of raising chickens. I'm thinking about starting small in the backyard, and then I'm gonna put an incubator in the cellar.
Are you talking about that old incubator again? I thought you two would be talking about things worthwhile.
Well, if you want to give the boys some advice, I can head upstairs and you can talk to them.
Now, George, Emily's gonna come down and meet her breakfast. She sends you her love, but she doesn't want to lay eyes on you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
I guess you don't know that old superstition?
What do you mean, Charles?
Since the cavemen, no bridegroom should ever come see his father-in-law on the day of his wedding, or anywhere near it. Now you remember that.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Misfred. Now I'll have to interrupt again here. You see, we want to know how all this began. This wedding, this plan to spend a lifetime together. I'm awfully interested in how big things like that begin. You know how it is, you're 21 or 22, and you make some decisions, and then whoosh, you're 70, and you've been a lawyer for 50 years. And that white-haired lady at your side has eaten over 50,000 meals with you. Well, how do such things begin? George and Emily are going to show you now the conversations that they had when they first knew that, as the saying goes, they were meant for one another. But before they do it, I want you to try and remember what it was like to be very young. And particularly the days when you were first in love. You're like a person sleepwalking. You didn't quite see the street you're in. You didn't quite hear everything that was said to you. You're just a little bit crazy. Now remember that, will you? They'll be coming out of high school at 3 o'clock. George has just been elected president of the junior class, and as it's July, that means he'll be president of the senior class all next year. And Emily has just been elected secretary and treasurer. I don't have to tell you how important that is. Yep, there they are, coming down Main Street now.
I can't, Louise. I've got to go home and help my mother, I promise. Oh, Ernestine. Ernestine, can you come over later and do Latin? Isn't that Cicero the worst thing? Tell your mother you have to. Goodbye. Goodbye, Helen, and goodbye, Fred.
Emily, could I carry your books home for you?
Why, thank you. It isn't far.
Oh, excuse me a minute, Emily. Say, Bob, if I'm a little late, start practice anyway. Give her some long high ones.
Goodbye, Lizzie.
Goodbye, Lizzie. I'm awfully glad you were elected too, Emily.
Thank you.
Emily, why are you mad at me?
I'm not mad at you.
Well, you've been treating me so funny lately.
Well, George, since you asked me, I might as well just go right out and say it. Goodbye, Miss Corcoran.
Goodbye, Miss Corcoran. What is it?
I don't like this whole change that's come over you in the last year. Now, I'm sorry if that hurt your feelings, but I've got to tell the truth and shame the devil.
A change? How do you mean?
Well, up to a year ago, I used to like you a lot, and I used to watch you did everything because we've been friends so long. And you started spending all your time at baseball, and you didn't stop to talk to nobody anymore, George. You didn't. And it's a fact you've got awful conceited and stuck up. All the girls say so. They may not say it to your face, but that's what they say about you behind your back, and it hurts me, but I've got to agree with them a little because it's true. Now, I'm sorry if that hurt your feelings, but I can't be sorry I said it.
Well, I'm glad you said it, Emily. I never thought that such a thing has happened to me. I mean, I guess it's hard for a fella not to have some faults creep into his character.
I always expect a man to be perfect. I think he should be.
Well, I don't think it's possible to be perfect, Emily.
Well, my father is. As far as I can see, your father is, so there's no reason on earth why you shouldn't be too.
Well, I feel it's the other way around. That men aren't naturally good, but girls are.
Well, you might as well know right now that I'm not perfect. It's not as easy for a girl to be perfect as it is for a man. The girls are more nervous. No, I'm sorry I said about stuff about you. I don't know what made me say it.
Emily.
And I can tell that it's not the truth, and I suddenly feel it isn't.
Emily, would you like an ice cream soda or something before you go home?
Thank you, I would.
Hello, Stu. How are you? Good afternoon, Miss Logan.
Hello, George. Hello, Emily. What do you have? What, Emily Webb? What have you been crying about?
She just had an awful scare, Miss Morgan. She almost got run over by that hardware store wagon. Everybody says that Tom Huggins drives like a crazy man.
Well, now, you take a drink of water, Emily, you look all shook up. I tell you, you gotta look both ways before you cross the street these days. Gets worse every year. What do you have?
I'll have a strawberry frostbite, Miss Morgan.
No, Emily. Have an ice cream soda with me. 2 strawberry ice cream sodas, Miss Morgan.
2 strawberry ice cream sodas. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know, there are 225 horses in Grover's Corners this minute I'm talking to you. The state inspector was in here yesterday. Now they're bringing in these automobiles. Wow, the best thing to do is just stay home. I remember when a dog could go to sleep all day in the middle of Main Street, and nothing could come along to disturb him. Well, here they are. Y'all enjoy them. Yes, Miss Ellis, what can I do for you?
They're so expensive.
No, Emily, don't you think of that. We're celebrating our election. You know what else I'm celebrating?
No.
I'm celebrating because I got a friend that tells me all the things ought to be told to me.
Oh, George, please don't think of that. Really, I don't know why I
No,
said
Emily,
it.
you stick to it. I'm glad you spoke to me like you did, but you'll see. I'm gonna change so quick. You bet I'm gonna change. Emily, I want to ask you a favor.
What?
If I do go away to State Agriculture College next year, could you write me a letter once in a while?
I certainly will. I certainly will, George. Certainly seems like after being away for 3 years, you might get out of touch with things. Maybe after a while, letters from Grover's Corners wouldn't be so interesting. Grover's Corners is very important when you think of all of New Hampshire, but I think it's a very lovely town.
Well, the day wouldn't come when I wouldn't want to know everything that's happening here. I know that's true, Emily.
I'll try to make my letters very interesting.
Emily, you know, when I meet a farmer, I ask him if he thinks it's important to go to agriculture school to be a good farmer.
But George,
And some of them say that it's even a waste of time. I mean, you can get all that stuff with the pamphlets the government sends out anyway. My Uncle Luke's getting old. About ready for me to take over his farm tomorrow if I could.
my,
And like you said, being gone all that time in other places and meeting other people, gosh, if anything like that could happen, I don't want to go away. I guess new people aren't any better than old ones. I bet they almost never are. Emily, I feel that you're as good as a friend as I've got. I don't need to meet the other people in other towns.
well, George, maybe it's important for you to go off and learn about cattle judging and soils. But of course, I don't know.
Emily, I'm gonna make up my mind right now. I won't go. I'll tell Pa about it tonight.
Well, George, I don't see why you have to decide right now. It's a whole year away.
Oh, Emily, I'm glad you spoke to me about that fault in my character. And what you said was right, but there was one thing wrong. And it was that you said for a year I wasn't noticing people. I mean, you, for instance. Like, you say you're watching everything I do when I've been doing the same thing about you all the time. Like, sure, I always thought of you as one of the chief people I thought of. Made sure where you're sitting on the bleachers and who you're with. For 3 days now, I've been trying to walk home with you, but something's always gotten in the way. I mean, yesterday I was standing over against the wall waiting for you, and when you walked home in this courtroom.
But George, life's awful funny. How was I supposed to know
Listen,
that?
Emily, I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to agriculture school. I think that once you found somebody that you're very fond of, and somebody that's fond of you too, and likes you enough to be interested in your character, well, I think that's just as important as college is. Maybe even more so. That's what I think.
I think it's awfully important too.
Emily,
Yes, George?
if I do improve and make a big change, would you?
I am now. I always have been.
Well, I guess it's an important talk we've been having.
Yes.
Wait just a minute, I'll walk you home. Miss Morgan, I'm gonna have to run home and
Why,
get you
George Hibbs, do you mean to tell me?
Yes, Miss Morgan, but I had my reasons. Here, take my gold watch and hat until I come back with the money.
That's all right. You keep your watch, George. I'll trust you.
I'll be back in 5 minutes.
I'll trust you 10 years, George, not a day over. You got all over your shopping?
Yes, Miss Morgan, it was nothing.
I'm ready.
Well, now we're ready to go on with the wedding. There are a lot of things to be said about a wedding. There are a lot of thoughts that go on during a wedding. You can't get them all in one wedding, naturally, especially not two wedding Grover's Corners. There are a lot of playing, to be sure. In this wedding, I play the minister. That gives me the right to say a few more things about it. For a while now, the play gets pretty serious. You see, some churches say that marriage is a sacrament. I don't quite know what that means, but I can guess. It's like what Mrs. Gibbs said earlier. People are made to go through life 2 by 2. Now, this is a good wedding. But even at a good wedding, there's a lot of confusion around people's minds. We hope that up to be an art play too. The real hero of the scene isn't on stage at all. You all know who that is. It's like what one of those European fellas said. Every child born into the world is nature's attempt to make a perfect human being. Well, we've seen nature pushing and contriving for some time now. We all know that nature's interested in quantity, but I think she's interested in quality too. That's why I'm in the ministry. And don't forget all the other witnesses at this wedding. The ancestors, millions of them. Most of them sat lived 2 by 2 also. Millions of them. Well, that's all my sermon. Wasn't very long anyway.
I don't know why I should be crying. I suppose there's nothing to cry about. But it came over me at breakfast this morning. There was Emily eating her breakfast that she's done for 17 years. And now she's going off to eat in somebody else's house. And I suppose that's it. And Emily, she put her head down and she cried. There's something downright cruel about sending our girls into marriage this way. I hope her girlfriends have told her a thing or two. It's cruel, I know, but I couldn't say anything. I went into it blind as a bat myself. The whole world's wrong. That's the matter. Here they come.
Hey, boys, look at him. Look at him. Hey, George.
All right, that'll do. That's enough of that. There used to be an awful lot of that kind of thing at weddings in the olden days, Rome and later. We're more civilized now, so they say.
George, what's the matter?
Ma, I don't want to grow old. But why is everybody pushing me so?
Why, George, you wanted this.
No, Ma, listen to me.
No, George, you're a man now.
Ma, listen to me. For the last time I asked you. All I want to do is be a fellow.
Oh, why, George! Someone will hear you. Oh, I'm ashamed of you.
What? Where's Emily?
Oh, George, oh, you gave me such a fright.
Cheer up, Ma. I'm getting married.
Let me catch my breath first.
Now, Ma, you say Thursday nights. Emily and I are going to come for dinner every Thursday night. You'll see. Come on, Ma, we got to get ready for this.
George.
Felt so alone in my whole life. And George over there looking so... I hate him. I wish I were dead.
Oh, Emily, now don't get upset.
Papa, I don't want to get married.
Everything's gonna be all right.
Why can't I stay just as I am for a while? Let's go away.
No, just stop and think of it.
Don't you remember? All the time you used to say that I was your girl. I'm sure there's plenty of places we can go. I'll work for you. I'll keep the house.
You mustn't think of such things, Emily. You're just nervous. George, come here a minute. Why are you marrying the best young fella in the world? George is a fine fella.
But
I'm giving away my daughter, George. Think you can take care of her?
Mr. Webb, I want to. I want to try. Emily, I love you. I need you.
if you love me, then help me. I want someone to love me.
I will, Emily. Emily, I'll try.
I mean, forever, do you hear? Forever and ever.
Alright, they're waiting for us. They see it'll all be alright. Come quick.
Do you, George, take this woman, Emily, to be your wedded wife? To have
Perfectly lovely wedding. Oh, it's the loveliest wedding I've ever saw. Oh, I do love a good wedding. Don't you? Doesn't she make a lovely bride?
I do.
And do you, Emily, take this man, George, to be your wedded husband?
I don't know when I've seen such a lovely wedding. Oh, but I always cry. I don't know why it is, but I always cry. I just love to see young people happy. Don't you? Oh, I think it's lovely.
I've married over 200 couples in my day. Do I believe in it? Well, I don't know. Em marries in millions of them. The cottage, the go-kart, Sunday afternoon drives in the Ford, the first rheumatism, the grandchildren, the second rheumatism, the deathbed, the reading of the will. Once in 1,000 times, it's interesting. Well, let's have Middleton's wedding march.
Oh, aren't they a lovely couple? I've never been to such a lovely wedding. And they'll be happy. I'm sure of it. I'm sure they'll be happy. Because I always say, happiness, that's the great thing. The important thing is to be happy.
That's the end of the second act, folks. 15 minutes intermission. This time 9 years ago, my friends. Summer, 1930. Gradual changes in growers' corners. Horses are getting rare. Farmers come in town in hordes. Everybody locks their house doors now, right? There ain't been any burglars in town yet, but everybody's heard about it. You'd be surprised, though. On the whole, things don't really change much around here. This is certainly an important part of growers' corners. It's on a hilltop, a windy hilltop. Lots of sky, lots of clouds, often lots of sun, moon, and stars. You come up here on a fine afternoon and you can see ranges and ranges of hills. Awful blue they are. Up there by Lake Sunapee and Lake Winnipesaukee. Way up, if you've got a glass, you can see the White Mountains and Mount Washington, where Conway, North Conway is. And of course our favorite mountain, Mount Monadnock's right over there. And all these towns that lie around it. Jaffrey, East Jaffrey, Peterborough, and Dublin. And there, quite a ways down, is Grover's Corners. Yes, it's a beautiful spot up here. Mountain laurel and lilacs. I often wonder why people like to be buried in Woodlawn or Brooklyn, and they might pass through the very same things right here in New Hampshire. Over there are the old stones. 1670, 1680. Strong-minded people who come a long way to be independent. Summer people come through laughing at the funny words in the tombstones. They don't do any harm. And genealogists come up from Boston. They're getting paid by city people looking up their ancestors. They want to make sure they're daughters of the American Revolution and of the Mayflower. Well, that don't do any harm either. Wherever you come near the human race, there's layers and layers of nonsense. Over there are the Civil War veterans. Iron flags on their graves. New Hampshire boys. They had a notion that the Union ought to be kept together, though they'd never seen more than 50 miles of it themselves. All they knew was the name, friends. The United States of America. The United States of America. And they went and died about it. This here is the new part of the cemetery. There's your friend, Mrs. Gibbs. Simon Simpson, organist of the Congregational Church. And Mrs. Soames, who enjoyed the wedding so, you remember? A lot of others. There's Editor Webster, Wallace. His appendix burst on a Boy Scout trip up at Crawford Notch. Yes. An awful lot of sorrow has sort of glided down through here. People just wild with grief that brought their relatives up to this hill. You all know how it is. And in time, in sunny days, in rainy days, in snow. We're all glad they're in a beautiful place. And we're kind of up here ourselves in our fits over. There are some things that we all know, but we don't take them out and look at them very often. We all know that something is eternal. It's not houses, it's not names, it's not the earth, it's not even the stars. Everybody knows in their bones that something is eternal. And that something has to do with human beings. Why? All the greatest people that ever lived have been telling us that for 5,000 years, and yet you'd be surprised how people are always losing hold of it. There's something way down deep that's eternal about every human being. You know as well as I do that the dead don't stay interested in us living people for very long. Gradually, they lose hold of the earth and the ambitions they had, and the pleasures they had, and the things they suffered, and the people they loved. They get weaned away from the earth. That's where I put it. Weaned away. So they stay here while the earth part of them burns out and burns away, and all that time they slowly become indifferent to what's going on in Grover's Corners. They're waiting. They're waiting for something that they feel is coming, something important and great. Or aren't they waiting for the eternal part in them to come out clear? Some of the things you're going to say maybe will hurt your feelings, but it's just the way it is. Mother and daughter, husband and wife, enemy and enemy, money and money. All of those terribly important things just sort of grow pale around here. And what's left when your memory is gone, and your identity is Smith. Well, there are some living people. There's Joe Stoddard, our undertaker, supervising the new made grave. And here comes the Grover's Corners boy that left town to go out west.
Good afternoon, Joe Stoddard.
Good afternoon. Well, let me see now. Do I know you?
I'm Sam Craig.
Gracious sakes alive. Of all people. I should have known you'd be back for the funeral. You've been away a long time, Sam.
Yes, I've been away 12 years. I'm in business out in Buffalo now, Joe, but I was in the East when I got the news of my cousin's death. So I thought I'd combine things a little and come and visit the old home. You look well.
Yes, can't complain. Very sad our journey today here, Sam.
Yes.
Yes, I always say, I hate to supervise when a young person is taken. I had to cater early today. My son is supervising at home.
Old Farmer McCarty used to do chores for him after school. He had the lumbago.
Yes, we brought Farmer McCarty here a number of years ago now.
Why, it's my Aunt Julia. I've forgotten that she. Of course.
Doc Gibbs. He lost his wife 2-3 years ago. About this time. Today's another pretty bad blow for him, too.
That's my sister Carrie's boy. Sam Craig.
I'm always uncomfortable remembering.
Simon.
Do they choose their own verses much, Joe?
No, not usual. Most of the bereaved do verse.
Doesn't sound like my Aunt Julia. There aren't many of those Hershey sisters left now, is there? Let me see. Where are. I wanted to look at my father's and mother's.
Oh, over there with the Craigs. Avenue F.
He was an organist at the church. He drank a lot, we used to say.
No one was supposed to know about it. He'd seen it back in trouble. Took his own life, you know.
Oh, did he?
Hung himself in the attic. They tried to hush it up, but unfortunately got around. He chose it on epitaph. You can see it there. Well, it ain't the verse exactly.
What? It's just some notes of music. What is it?
Oh, well, I wouldn't know. It was wrote up in the Boston papers at the time.
Joe, what did she die of?
Who?
My cousin.
Oh, well, didn't he know? She had some trouble bringing a baby to the world. Towards the second, though, there's a little boy about 4 years old.
Grave's gonna be over there?
Yes, there ain't much more room over here than the Gibbses, so they're opening up a whole new gift section over by Avenue B. If you'll excuse me now, I see they're coming.
Who is it, Julia? My daughter-in-law, Emily Webb.
Lada Claire. Road up here must have been awfully muddy. What did she tell him?
Childbirth.
Childbirth. Got to know about that. My, wasn't life awful? And wonderful.
Was it?
Simon, now remember. I remember Emily's wedding. Wasn't it a lovely wedding? And I remember her reading the class poem at graduation exercises. Emily was one of the brightest girls that graduated from high school. Now I've heard Principal Wilkins say so time after time. Called on them at the new farm right before I died. Perfectly beautiful farm. On the same road we lived on.
Yeah, right smart farm.
I always liked that hymn. I was hoping they'd sing a hymn.
Hello.
Hello, Emily.
Hello, Miss Gibbs. Hello, Mother Gibbs.
Emily?
Hello. It's raining.
Yes, dear. You'll be gone soon. Just rest yourself.
It seems thousands and thousands of years since Papa remembered that was my favorite hymn. I wish I'd been here a long time. I don't like being new here. How do you do, Mr. Stimson?
What are you doing?
Mother Gibbs, George and I have turned that farm to just the best place you ever saw. We thought of you all the time. We wanted to show you the new barn and the great long cement drinking fountain we got for the stock. We bought that out of the money you left us.
I did?
Yes, Mother Gibbs, don't you remember? The legacy you left us? It was over $350.
Yes, Emily. Of course.
There's a patent device on the drinking fountain, Mother Gibbs, so that it never overflows. And it never seems below a certain mark they have there. It's fine. It won't be the same to George without me, but it's a lovely farm. A lot of people don't understand, do they?
No, dear. Not very much.
They're sort of shut up in little boxes. It seems as if I knew them last 1,000 years ago. My little boy's spending the day at Miss Carter's. Well, Mr. Carter, my little boy's spending the day at your place.
Is he?
Yes, he loves it there. We have a Ford too, Mother gives. Never gives us any trouble. I don't drive though. Mother gives, how long does this feel to be in one of them last?
Dear, just be patient.
I know. We're finished. We're going. Look, Father gives us bringing some of my flowers to you. He looks just like George, doesn't he? I never realized how troubled and in the dark a lot of persons are. Look at him. I loved him so. So all there are from morning till night is just trouble.
They recorded it in the website. This thing ring was scored off with it. It's radio, so the same thing. It is in the rain.
Mother gives one can go back there and live again. I feel that I know it. Just for a moment I was thinking about the farm. For a moment I was there and my baby was on my lap plain as day.
Why, yes, Emily, of course.
One can go back there and live again.
All I can say is, oh, Emily, don't.
But it's true, isn't it? I can go back and live all those days over again.
Yes. Some have tried, but they soon come back here.
Don't do it, Emily. Emily, don't. It's not what you think it'd be.
Oh, but I won't live over a sad day. I'll choose a happy one. I'll choose the day that I first knew that I loved George. Why should that be painful?
You not only live it, but you watch yourself living it.
Yes.
And as you watch it, you see the things they down there never know. You see the future. You know what's going to happen afterwards.
Is that painful? Why?
It's not all it is. When you've been here longer, you'll understand, but our job here is to forget all of that and go only to what's ahead. To be ready for whatever is ahead. When you've been here longer, Emily, you'll understand.
Mother Gibbs, how can I ever forget that life? It's all I had, it's all I know.
Emily, it isn't wise. Really, it isn't.
But it's a thing I must know for myself. I'll choose a happy day anyway.
No. You'll choose the least important day in your life.
Oh, Emily, it'll be important enough.
It can't be since I was married or since the baby was born. I can choose a birthday, can't I? I choose my 12th birthday.
All right. February 11th, 1899. A Tuesday. Did you want any special time of day?
Oh, I want the whole day.
All right. We'll begin at dawn. You remember it had been snowing for several days, but they'd go clean the roads the night before. The sun's coming up now.
Oh, there's Main Street. And Miss Morgan's drugstore before she changed it. And there's the livery stable.
Yes. It's 1899. This is 14 years ago.
That's the town I knew as a little girl. And look, there's the old white fence that used to be around our house. I'd forgotten that. I left it so. Are they inside?
Yes. Your mother will be coming down in a minute to make breakfast.
Will she?
And you remember your father had been away for several days. We took the early morning train back home.
No.
He went back to make a speech at his college in Western New York at Clinton.
Look, there's Howie Newsom. And our policeman, but he died. He's dead.
Morning, Bill.
Morning, Howie.
You're up early.
The rest of you at the party darn near froze to death down by Polish Town there. Got drunk and had the sprinters. Thought he was in bed when I shook him.
Oh, there's Joe Crow.
Come on, Mr. Ward. Morning, Howard. Children, Molly, Emily, it's time to get up.
Well, Mama, I'm here. How young Mama looks. I didn't know Mama was ever that young.
You can come and get dressed by the kitchen fire if you like, but hurry. Good morning, Mr. Newsom. It's cold.
Yes, 10 below by my barn.
I was thinking, you keep yourself wrapped up.
too.
Oh, Mama, I can't find my blue hair ribbon anywhere.
Just open your eyes, dear. I laid it out for you special on the dresser. If it were a snake, it bites you.
Yes, yes.
Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Mr. Webb. You're up early.
Just been back to my old college in New York State. Been any trouble here?
Well, I was called up this morning to rescue a Polish fellow. Darn near frozen there.
We must get it in the paper.
It's what much.
Papa.
Good morning, Mother.
Good morning, Charles. How'd it go?
Oh, went all right, I guess. I told him a thing or two. Anything happening here?
Nothing special. It's been like cold. Howie Newsom says it's 10 over to his barn.
Even colder at that Hamilton College. Students' ears are falling off. It ain't Christian. Paper have any mistakes in it?
None that I noticed. Coffee's when you want it. Charles, it's Emily's birthday. Did you remember to get her something?
I've got her something right here. Where's my girl? Where's my birthday girl?
Don't interrupt her now, Charles. You can see her breakfast. She's slow enough as it is. Children, I don't want to call you again.
Oh, Mama, I'm here. I'm grown up. I love you all, everything. I can't look at anything hard enough. Can I go in? Good morning, Mama.
Oh, happy birthday to my girl and many happy returns. There's some surprises waiting for you on the kitchen table.
Oh, Mama, you shouldn't have.
Then the blue paper, that's from your Aunt Carrie. I reckon you can get your brought a postcard out. I found it on the porch when I was bringing in the milk. George Gibbs. He must have brought it out of the cold real early. Nice of him.
Oh, George, I've forgotten that.
But, birthday or no birthday, I want you to eat your breakfast good and slow. I want you to grow up and be a good, strong girl.
Oh, Mama, just look at me for 1 second as though you truly saw me. Mama, 14 years has gone by. I'm dead. You're a grandmother now, Mama, because I married that George Gibbs. Wally's dead too. Mama, his appendix burst on a camping trip up to North Conway. We felt just terrible, don't you remember?
And that in the yellow paper, that's something I found among your grandmother's things in the attic. You're old enough to wear it now, and I thought you'd like it.
Oh, Mama, this is from you. It's beautiful. It's just what I want.
I'd hoped you'd like it. I hunted all over. Your Aunt Nora couldn't find one in Concord, so I had to send all the way to Boston. Wally has something for you, too. He made it in manual training class, and he's real proud of it. Make sure to make a big fuss. And your father has something for you, too. I don't know what it is. Here he comes.
Where's my girl? Where's my birthday girl?
I can't go on. It all goes by so fast we don't have time to just look at one another. So you're telling me all that was going on and I didn't even see it? Take me back. Up the hill to my grave. But wait. One last look. Goodbye. Goodbye, world. Goodbye. Grover's Corners and Mama and Papa. Clock's ticking and food and coffee and sleeping and waking up. And newly ironed dresses and hot baths and Mama sunflowers. Oh, Earth, you were too beautiful for anyone to realize it, but does any human being realize life while they live it? Every moment?
No. Saints and poets they do so.
I'm ready to go back. Are you happy? No. Should have just listened to you. That's all people are, just blind.
Look, the sky's clear enough.
Mr. Stimson, I should have just listened to them.
Yes. Now you know. Now you know what it was to be alive. To move around in a cloud of ignorance. To go up and down, trampling on the feelings of those about you. To spend and waste time as though you had a million years to be at the mercy of one self-centered passion or another. Now you know. That's the happy existence you wanted to go back to. Ignorance. Influences.
Simon, that ain't the whole truth, and you know it. Oh, look at that star, Emily. What's its name? I've forgotten.
My boy Joel was a sailor. Knew them all. He used to sit on the porch evenings and tell them all by name. Yes, sir. Wonderful.
Yes, yes, it is.
You wanted them coming.
That's funny. Ain't no time more to let him be here. Goodness sake.
Mother Gibbs, it's George. Yes. It's George.
Yeah, my boy Joel, who knew the star. He used to say it took millions of years for those little speckles of light to get to the earth. Don't seem like a body could believe it, but that's what he used to say. Millions of years.
Goodness. That ain't the way to behave. You ought to be home.
Mother Gibbs.
Yes, Emily.
They just don't understand, do they?
No, dear. They can't understand.
Most everybody's asleep in Grover's Corners. There are a few lights on. Shorty Hawkins down at the depot just watched the Albany train go by. And at the livery stable, somebody sitting up late and talking. There are the stars, doing their old crisscross journeys to the sky. Scholars haven't settled the matter yet, but they seem to think that there are no living beings up there. Just chalk, fire. And this one's straining away. Straining away all the time it took to make something of itself. The strain's so bad that every 16 hours the guy lies down and gets a rest. It's 11 o'clock here in Grover's Corners. You all get a good rest too. Good night.